Hi, today I want to talk about a concept called homey business. It's a concept that my friend Jake and I made up a long time ago, which is the whole idea that when you try to give people that you know, whether they're friends or acquaintances, a better deal, and when you treat them differently than when you deal with regular clients, that instead of it turning out better because you're giving somebody that you know a good deal and they're appreciating it because they're your friend, it turns into a complete and utter clusterfuck of a nightmare. And it's something that I've known for a long time. It's something that I've very much so avoided. I treat friends, acquaintances, anybody that I know the exact same as I would treat a regular client. I may cut you a deal, but for the most part, the way I talk to you, the way I treat you, the amount of time it's going to take to do something, and the approach that I take with you is the same as the approach that I take with anybody that I know. Now, the problem that comes up with homey business is that we often treat the situation differently. Now, one of my friends, Dino, who I used to know and get along with very well before he moved away, he used to always say that in New York, what he hated about New York is that we treat people that we know actually worse than people who are customers. So let's say we tell somebody, because you're my customer and you're a new customer and I want to impress you, this is going to take 2 hours. But when it's your friends, you know that they're your friends, and you know that they're probably still going to be your friends and give you some latitude, so you take a day or 2 days or 3 days or 4 days because, again, this is not somebody that's going to file a chargeback or leave a bad Yelp review. There's somebody that you know. And this is something that you have to think about when you're starting to get into homey business and doing business for friends. Am I providing the same standard of service that I would be offering if this was a regular client? One of the big mistakes a lot of people make is they do the service, they do the job for cheaper, and because they're doing it for cheaper, without the friends even asking, the friend doesn't even ask for it to be cheaper, but you feel like it's your duty to give it to them cheaper, so now you treat them at a lower standard. So let's say a service is supposed to be $50 and you're giving it to them for 10. You may do it for $10, but now instead of it being done in an hour, it's going to take 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 days because you know that they're your friend. You don't pick up the phone at work when that person calls to ask about it. And this is where it really gets iffy. So not only do you not make money off of the homey business, but very often you actually piss them off and you two just wind up hating one another. The other thing to think about with homey business is if this person is your friend, let's say you're fixing an iPhone 5. Sometimes you can do everything right and not screw up a damn thing, and the phone just boots up and it looks like it's like compiling a Linux kernel or something. And everybody says, it's the front camera flex, unplug it and it's good. 99 out of 100 times it is. 1 out of 100 times that motherboard is just effed to crap. Do you really want that to be something to get in the way of your friendship? Let's say that friend has all of these pictures on his phone that he's never backed up in his life. You did nothing wrong to that phone, and it just died. And now you have to look your friend in the face and say, hey, I know that your phone worked perfectly before you gave it to me, but now all your pictures of your children and your wedding and your child's birth and your family are all gone. Sorry. How do you think that's going to affect your friendship? Now, one of the recent reminders of why I am not a fan of homey business just happened recently. So there's somebody that I know, good guy, not going to use his name, very nice guy, kind-hearted guy, hard-working guy that I used to work with about 6 or 7 years ago at one of my first jobs in Manhattan. And he's a good guy, but he's a bit of a mess. Again, he has a lot of things going on at once. He always has a lot of things going on at once, so when he has an idea and he wants to go ahead with something, he just goes ahead and he dives into it. He doesn't necessarily think about things like, this is my only computer that my life is on. This is my only hard drive that has all of my information, and it's dying. Like he's busy in the thought. Like many creative people, like many entrepreneurs, he is busy in what he is doing. So things like paying rent on the first and things like backing up stuff, it's just not stuff that comes first to creative professionals. I'm not going to get into criticizing this particular individual. I've worked with enough creative people and enough entrepreneurs to know that even with the good ones, a lot of the times just doing stuff responsibly just escapes them in the pursuit of their idea. I'm not going to get into whether or not this is right and whether or not this is all entrepreneurs in this video. It's not. And I'm not going to get into whether my personal opinion of it. But personally, I know this person to be somewhat of a mess. So when I see somebody walk into the store with a mess, my first thought is, it doesn't matter what I do because you're not going to be happy. It doesn't matter if I do my job because my goal is to make you happy. So even if I fix something for you, if I fix the system for you, but it still works like a mess because your system is a mess, because your workflow is a mess, and you use the system to create that mess, I'm going to get blamed. So regardless of what I do, even if I'm only replacing your battery and your battery dies because you forget to plug in the charger, somehow this has become my fault. Seriously. My experience in life life is to not take on clients who are a complete and utter mess, because it is going to become my mess. It is my experience that when I take on specific people who are a total mess, that they are going to take that mess and drop it in my lap and then make it mine. So if this was a regular client, I would have just come up with some reason to not fix his stuff. Honestly, I would have told him why it wasn't worth it. I would have told him how this is old. I would have told him how, because of how you use this may fail again, which is true. And I would have politely and kindly gotten him to realize that this is not the best solution for him. He would have avoided the whole mess. I would have avoided the mess. Everybody is happy. Now, what I did, because this is somebody that I know, is I took it in anyway. It was a standard board repair, something that we do here every day. We fix it. It sits in the slot here for like 3 or 4 months, waiting for him to get back from whatever he's doing. 3 or 4 months later, he comes in and he brings me the drive for the computer. And I go to put it in. It doesn't boot. But you ever have that feeling? I know you technicians have this. Have you ever had it happen one time where you look at a hard drive and it's not beat up, and you have no empirical or scientific or anecdotal reason to believe that this drive is bad, but you know it's bad? Have you ever done that? Like, you just look at the drive, a customer hands you a drive and say, put this in this computer, and you know it's not going to work. I had that. I knew it. I just knew looking at this drive that for some reason I grabbed the information off of the platters. I knew that this thing was dead. And it boots up with a shutdown, whatever message. I plug it into a Mac computer, the Mac desktop here, and I see the files are like all just scrambled. Total cluster mess. There's just the users folder has like one folder in it. It's missing everything. And I politely explain to him, I say, there's a chance I can get this, but I can't tell you right now. And he's like, he's worried about it, and he's worried about it, and he's worried about it. So I plug it in and I tell him he wants to know exactly what I'm going to do. Now with regular clients, I tell them, I'm going to try to recover your data using this program. I'm going to try to recover your data doing this. I'm going to try to recover your data doing that. But I don't really get too much into it. But because he really is one of those people who's kind of like a mess and he just needs to know everything I'm doing, and he asked me, and I actually just explained the entire process to him. So I plug his drive into a computer, and I decide to DD rescue it to another. And you can just see error after error after error after error after error. And 8 or 9 hours later, it finally clones everything. It didn't clone a couple of megs, but it cloned just about everything. So I take the clone, I plug it in. Slightly better, but just still, like, the file system fucked to shit and back. And I've been doing this for a long time. I'm not a data recovery specialist where that is all I do. I can take a drive that has no partition on it, and I can usually rebuild a partition. There are a lot of things I can do, but this drive, let me just trust me when I tell you that there is nothing that I can do to get any of this data back. And I call and I explain it. And he doesn't take it well. He's not happy about it. But it is what it is. So he brings in a drive and he says, okay, let's try this. This is my backup. And I had that feeling times 10 because like backup is written on it with like a Bic pen that's I know this is not going to work. And I boot it. I choose the drive and it does the exact same thing. The whole shutdown, total mess. I plug it into a machine. Its smart status is failing. It's dead. It's going to die. And he's like, no, something's wrong here. Something's wrong here. And he's looking at the computer, and he's looking at me like I did something to the computer to make all this happen. I replaced the graphics chip on the motherboard. This computer passes ASD. It firmarks for hours. It boots with my OS. I can use it just fine. This has nothing to do with the computer. My computer did not take the drive that you have in your possession, and logically speaking, the computer did not take the drive that you have in your possession and kill it. That has nothing to do with me. And I just see the look in his face, and I know this is not going to end here. So I explain everything, and I said, listen, just bring me a backup that works, and I'll help you out. And also because this was homey business, and it was somebody that I knew, I gave him the replacement drive for free, which is, again, people who know me, you all know. You know I'm a Scrooge. You know this. I give stuff away for people who kind of, who are not like, it's driving me nuts. I give stuff away for free, very rarely at my personal discretion. So I give the drive, and it's not because he accused me of anything. I told him I'm giving him the drive as soon as I saw that his was dead, because I honestly felt bad, and this is somebody that I knew and worked with for a while. And I send him on his way. He goes home. He calls me later that night. He's like, you erased my drive. You erased my drive. And I go, what are you talking about? And he says that the drive that he plugged in, the original drive that I said I could not get data off, the original drive that would not boot when he brought it in to pick up the computer, he said I erased it. And I go, well, I didn't, what are you talking about? He's like, I'm going to my folders and I don't see anything in this folder. And I go, yes, that is a dead drive. You're not going to see anything there. That drive is dead. The concept of a dead drive, and I explained it without being condescending, is that this drive is dead. It's not going to work. It's not going to show up. He's like, it showed up before. It showed up before. I was able to plug it in and read off of it. What did you do? And at this point, it's like I just transfer the call to my office because I don't want to have this conversation in front of people. Now, again, if this was a regular customer, a regular paying customer who paid full price, I would have been patient. I would have been, because for all the things that I say on this channel, I'm a reasonable guy. I'm a patient guy. I don't believe in just telling people, screw you, this, that, and the other, fuck you, and all this other crap. I don't believe in cursing people out and being mean and arrogant and a douchebag. I'm actually nice. What I try to do is I try to kill people with kindness. I ask open-ended questions to try to get them to come to the conclusion themselves. I try to have them build a vision in their mind that they're being irrational. That's what works. That's what works. It doesn't always feel good, but it feels good at the end. It's always worth it in the end, and it's what I've always preached for you people to do. Do not tell people, do not get super defensive. I said it 4 years ago, and 3 years ago. I said it 2 years ago in that video on, customers blaming you. Don't go, I am technician, I did not break it, are you accusing me? You should lead them to the fact that what they're saying is crap. You would lead them by saying, so, do you usually pay, would you have paid me money if the screen was broken? No. Did you check the laptop before you left? Yes. Did you pay me? Yes. So the screen was not broken when you picked it up. So you lead people to that, and then they realize they're ridiculous. Because if they would have said, did you look at the screen when you picked it up, and they say no, and I go, well, let me pull up camera footage of you using the laptop for 5 minutes. You see, I can bombast them with something that either they can't really disagree with. But here, I didn't do any of that. You know why I didn't do any of that? Because for the amount of services that I offered, which I would have usually charged maybe $400 for, again, free motherboard repair, data recovery attempt, terabyte drive, all this stuff, I would have not charged the asinine, lowball, dumbass rate that I did because it was somebody that I knew. So now I'm not thinking in terms of client relationship. I'm thinking of, you're somebody I know that I did a favor for, and you're accusing me of things that have nothing to do with me. You're taking your mess, your dead drives, your lack of a backup, and then you're just tossing it in my lap and saying it's my fault because I touched it. So I'm not talking from the regular business standpoint of technician to client anymore. I'm thinking like, I did a favor for you, you motherfucker, and you actually have the audacity to complain about it. So I did something that I don't usually do, and I did something that's actually very, very wrong. So for once I decided, let me just be an ass. Let me just do what I don't do to regular clients because you're not a regular client. Let me just be an ass. So when he said, I'm furious at this, I'm furious at you, I said, what are you furious at? Are you furious at the discounted repair at half price? Are you furious at the fact that I gave you a free drive? Or are you furious at the fact that I spent a day trying to recover your data for free? Can you tell me which one of these three free gifts that you are furious at? And he gets angry and angry and angry. Realistically so. Because again, this guy is grieving the loss of his data. Whether or not it's my fault or his, again, it's not mine, but whether or not it's my fault or his has nothing to do with the situation. What the proper thing to do is to let somebody grieve for the loss of 5 or 6 years of their life. Regardless of whose fault it is, regardless of the fact that they didn't back it up. You can say that he's an idiot because he didn't back it up. I can say that he's an idiot because he didn't back it up. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to do any of that. You're supposed to let the people grieve and let them say and do and punch the wall and do whatever it is they need to do to come to terms with the fact that their life's work is gone. I didn't do that. Because again, I'm not treating him like a client, I'm treating him like a homie. And when a client gets pissed off at you and you're getting paid good money for them to have a temper tantrum, and they're having a temper tantrum because there's somebody you don't know, that's something I can just accept. I know how to deal with that. Again, I deal with that on a regular basis. I'm not 4.5 to 5 stars on Yelp with over 150 reviews because I tell people to go screw themselves every day. I tell them to go screw themselves kindly. So what happens here is, I just say what I think, because you're not a client. I'm not thinking of you as a client. I'm thinking of you as an acquaintance that I've known for a long period of time that I gave a deal to, who is taking that deal and now just shoving it in my face and just like taking little sands and just scratching me with it. And that makes me feel like a piece of crap. And I reacted, instead of acting like yawn, a professional yawn, you can say all you want, I'm going to say what I need to say so that you smile and leave and just stop bothering me. Instead of doing everything that I'm supposed to do, I just reacted like a complete and utter jerk-off. And This entire situation came about because of homey business. Homey business is terrible. You should not treat customers and your friends any differently. You should not treat anybody who comes to your business differently based on the fact that they know you. Don't not make a ticket for them because you know them. Don't put a post that, again, this is a lesson that my employees, if they ever watch this video, are going to kick me in the balls for posting because they know I do it all the time. But if it's your friend's stuff, make them make a ticket. Make them sign the form. Put it in your regular system so it gets handled like a regular customer and gets gone through properly. There are times when I've taken stuff in for people that I know and I've said, I'm going to do this for 20 bucks and we usually charge 150. And it gets done, but it may take an extra day or 2 or 3 because it's not in the ticket system and just nobody calls them because we have a system that tells us who we have to call. We don't have a system for the post-its that are on Lewis's desk of his friends that we need to call. And it causes a mess, and you should not cause a mess at your business. And for years, I have not been causing this particular type of mess at my business, but every now and then I do. Here, I did 2 things wrong. I took in a customer that I usually wouldn't take in, and it's not because they're mean, it's not because they're not a nice person, it's because I knew fundamentally from the beginning that because this person is a mess, that it wasn't going to work out, that there was some way, somehow, that this person's mess was going to be brought into my life and it was going to annoy me. And the second thing I did wrong is when they brought that mess into my life, instead of treating them professionally as I would a client, I treated them as if it was somebody that I knew that I had befriended that had screwed me over, and that is a very, very different way of talking to somebody, and I shouldn't be talking to somebody like that regardless of how they talk to me. So, the other thing to take into account here is that real friends, I mean real friends, are not going to actually want a discount. Like, keep in mind, I offered this person a discount before they asked for the price. So I put in the notes what the price should be before they actually asked for it. This person didn't even ask for a discount. Now, there are a lot of friends that will ask for a discount, and that's why I'm bringing this up. Now, I know somebody, I have a friend, who on a regular basis deals with people who lowball him. He is a working professional who owns his own business. As a result, he regularly deals with people who waste his time. He knows how annoying it is to pick up the phone thinking it's money and for it to just be bullshit that wasted 5 minutes of his time that he could have spent doing the work that's actually in front of him. He knows what it's like to get lowballed. He knows what it's like to have clients show up only to show up late and ask, hey, we showed up 45 minutes late, so since I wasn't there for that 45 minutes, I'm not paying for them. He knows what this is like. And because he hates dealing with it, he doesn't put other people through it. If he breaks his phone at my business, he will come to my business. We will offer a discount, and he will say, if I'm not here, he'll tell the receptionist, how much do you charge regular customers for this? And she'll say, 90 but. And before she can get the but that's not the price for you, he will take a $100 bill out of his pocket, put it on the table and say, keep the change, thank you very much. You know why he does that? Because real friends want to see real friends succeed. Real friends don't want to put real friends through the misery, the hassle, and the bullshit that they have to deal with on a regular basis. My friend who is a business owner does not want to put me through the misery, the hassle, and the irritation of dealing with a lowballer, of dealing with somebody who's like, is it going to take 10 minutes or 15 minutes? Because I have someplace to be. I deal with that with people who go to the yoga class a couple of blocks from here. I deal with that from those customers. I don't want to deal with that in my personal time. I don't want to ever do that to other people. I smile at those people and I'm like, it'll be done when it's done. And they go, how long? Well, when it's done. But I say it with a smile for them. But I don't want to have to do that with people that I know. And the people that I know that I don't want to deal with that. So one of the things that I'll propose to you, if you have friends that are constantly asking for homey business, constantly asking for discounts, keep in mind that people who are truly your friend will not ask for a discount. Therefore, you should not feel compelled to offer it. Truly, more than 10 or 20%, no. Friends, family, everybody should be treated exactly the same as everybody else. I very rarely make this mistake. Don't make the mistake with homey business. Don't make the mistake of mixing the stuff, because when you start giving people discounts on service, discounts on parts, you're not going to treat them as if they were a real customer. When you don't treat them as if they're a real customer, you wind up giving worse service to your friends and your family than you would give to people that you don't even know. Keep it business. No homey business.